week. A site visit by the planning team staff is planned in about 2 weeks. And once data collection and review is completed, and we anticipate that that will take several months, the planning team will return to the board, present their information, and request direction as to the scope of the project beyond data collection and review. In other words, we're focusing on the part that the planning team staff can do, which is the data collection. Once we have that, we'll present that, and then you can talk about, you know, what kind of public process you want, what kind of revision process beyond that, and we'll go from there. So any questions on the Mendocino Town Plan?
Yeah, it sounds to me like rather surprising that the idea of having a on-the-ground data coordinator and so forth has been abandoned?
The concept of the community liaison, or whatever we were going to call that, had more to do with the public process and the wider revision. It wasn't intended to be a data collection position. So that hasn't been abandoned. That, to me, would be the next step in the process. The intention was always that planning team staff would be doing the data collection.
And what's the nature of the data that would be collected? That we don't have in existing documents now?
Well, some of it will come from existing documents, but for example, it's looking at different building permits and any changes that have taken place in the town of Mendocino since the last time the plan was updated. All of that has to be kind of cataloged, and then doing an inventory of visitor serving units, because the plan calls for a ratio between visitor serving units and permanent units, and so you have to both confirm what the permanent units are as well as the visitor serving units. So in updating the plan, that's kind of the basic background against which any other updates take place, and it kind of indicates the level to which updates would take place.
I guess my question there is
Okay.
the level of competence that would be required to do that cataloging and to evaluating the data. I mean, if we're using a student intern, under whose direction will he or she be functioning?
Well, she is functioning under Phil Gorney's direction, and
But he'll be gone by the end of the month?
Well, but
End of
we will
April.
have a replacement chief planner.
Who, oh wait. Thank you.
And then you've got two professional planner threes in the planning team, both of whom have extensive planning experience, so. Okay?
Sure.
Okay, local coastal plan update. This is, hesitate to jump into this, but anyway, it is currently projected, planned, and hoped for that work on the local coastal plan update could begin no later than July 2009. So sometime in the beginning of 2009 or no later than July, and a lot would depend on how we want to budget for that, and it assumes completion of the UVAP process and the general plan process by the end of 2008. This project will require a consulting contract similar to the other major plans that have taken place, along with at least 2 FTE of existing planning team staff. We're not talking about needing more staff, but I'm saying it will take probably the equivalent of 2 people on the planning team focused on the local coastal plan. The time frame is likely to be, and I'm getting this information from Phil in consultation with Ray, to be 3 years from the starting gate to coastal commission action. And that's if there are no hitches along the way. The planning team has been working with MCOG on some items that will ultimately contribute to the local coastal plan update, such as the Route 1 study and some other things. So there are things that are happening that ultimately will be incorporated into the local coastal plan. But think of the local coastal plan as the coastal equivalent of UVAP. Spread along the entire coast of Mendocino County, or consider it, it's kind of a mini general plan. And then in addition to the public process, staff process, planning commission process, and your process, it ultimately has to go to the coastal commission. Certainly, as we get closer to putting together an actual time frame, we will tighten these up as much as we can, but I also have to say my experience over the last 2 years in working with this process is that some things won't allow themselves to be rushed. But that said, it's important to stick to timeframes and to estimate realistically and then to stick with the timeframes you do. So from there, I'd like to move into the general plan amendment request in the coastal zone, and then you can discuss this whole thing together.
Oh, okay.
Keep going?
Yes.
Okay. So that brings me to the concern that has been expressed regarding how to process general plan amendment requests in the coastal zone prior to the completion of the update of the local coastal plan. I think this may be the coastal equivalent of a catch-22, as it has been explained to me. Current policy of the Planning and Building Department, as I understand it, is that amendment applications will be accepted by Planning and Building Services. However, given their reduced staffing and what they see as a strong likelihood of denial by the Coastal Commission, these applications may not be processed. And in fact, over the past year or so, or years, I'm not quite sure how long this has been going on, they have not been processed. Potential applicants, the policy of the department is that potential applicants are advised of the situation and of the fee, which is $3,000 plus. And in addition, applicants for coastal plan amendments are advised that the Coastal Commission has previously stated that they will not act favorably upon plan amendments that increase density within the coastal zone until such time that the county has completed and the Coastal Commission has certified a local coastal plan update. So basically, you've got Coastal Commission apparently in writing having said anything that increases density, we're not going to allow to go through until you have a local coastal plan update that we've certified. At the same time, the county, for all the reasons that you can imagine, hasn't been able to do the local coastal plan update. And I suspect that the process of engaging in that is going to be, let's say, it will capture the attention of the public on the coast and will likely be a rather involved process. So that's the catch-22. The question is how to handle these requests before and during the local coastal plan update. You know, we now we're closer to a time frame, setting actual time frames for the local plan update than we've ever been before. And, you know, by 2009, we will start setting those time frames. But whatever we set, we still have this time period that is now, and until the local coastal plan is certified, to say nothing of whatever the history getting us up to this point has been. So in looking at how to handle these things, the concern is around the use of planning and building staff time, because they're not staffed at the level apparently to be able to process these additional amendments at this time. And as has been expressed to me, the cost benefit of investing in the staff time if ultimately something would be denied at the Coastal Commission level. I want to be very clear, I don't have personal experience of these things, so I'm, you know, explaining what the process is as it's been explained to me. There may be several different options. I mean, we could say, planning and building staff, you need to accept these and you need to process these, and it's up to the owners to carry it on through. That's not your problem. You just do your work on it and move it forward. Or, you know, deal with it, whatever the issues are. It could be that one looks at items that do not increase density, try and cull out all of those sorts of